This is the Slingbox S5 Max. This is a preloaded box, meaning it has two apps, My VOD and My TV. This is a live TV and a VOD box in which that you get the box, it comes with apps, and you don't have to pay for any extra fees. You buy the box and that is it. But is it any good? Does this box compare well with, let's say, Superbox and VC Box? What is the upside to this box, and is there any downsides to this box? Well, if you'd like to know more about the Slingbox S5 Max, keep watching because you're watching Blue Collar Guy. Okay, so today we have the Slingbox S5 Max. Before we go any further, I need to give you a disclaimer. This video is for informational and educational purposes only. Please consult with your local country's laws and guidelines when it comes to these streaming boxes with third-party apps. I do not want you to do anything illegal. So make sure that you consult with your local laws to make sure you're in compliance when using these boxes. These boxes are not illegal to buy, but they do have preloaded apps in which that if you use these apps, depending on what country you're in, they could be illegal to use. Now, the other thing I need to let you know is this video is not sponsored, meaning that Slingbox did not pay for the production of this video. I'm also not an affiliate of Slingbox, so if you buy one of these boxes, I don't get a commission. I don't want a commission. Also, I'm not an Amazon affiliate, so even if you get one on Amazon, I still don't get a commission and I don't want a commission. So I do these videos because people have questions about these boxes, and I have to be very careful on how I address some of these issues because I don't want to break YouTube's guidelines. So this video will be 100% policy safe. So if you'd like to see more about the Slingbox, the unedited version of this box, then in the description, click on more, scroll down, you will see a Facebook link. When you find that, you'll have to click on it twice to play the video. When you play the video, you will see the unedited version of this video, which will show you more about, what the box does and the unblurred stuff. So in this video here, I have to keep things by YouTube's guidelines. I hope that you understand. But please watch this video before you do that so that I can at least get the view of this video, because I don't do sponsored videos, I don't do Patreon, I don't ask for membership fees. As a matter of fact, I set up that other link so that you would have a members only page without having to pay the $2.99. So if you respect that, please watch this video all the way to the end and follow me at the other platform, and that would be most helpful. It doesn't cost you any money and it would help me out immensely. Not to mention, if you hit like and share and hype a video, that would be absolutely wonderful. If you're from the same belief that I am, where you're tired of watching videos and they're asking you for money, buy you a coffee and Patreon and all this other stuff, if you're tired of that, then please subscribe to the channel. And I will never ask you for any money. I will never ask you for Patreon, buy me a coffee, nothing. And I set up that other page just so that you will have a members only access without having to pay the $2.99 a month. So if you really appreciate that, let YouTube know, share the video, let them know by the watch time, by the sharing, by the liking. It's a good way to send them a message to saying that that's what you want also. But I've told them how I feel about it, and it's up to you to tell them how you feel about it. Now that I've got that out of the way, let's talk about the Slingbox. So what is a Slingbox? So a Slingbox is a Chinese Android streaming box. This is an AOSP version, meaning that it is a non-certified version of Google Android. This means it won't be affected if they do any Android updates in 2026 to stop any side loading, things like that. This box will not be affected by that, and neither will other boxes be that are also AOSP. So if you've watched my videos in the past, you've also know that I've compared boxes like this with the ONN box, which you get from Walmart. And people said, well, you can get this one cheaper, then you can get one of these, and then you just put on FlixVision and then you're done. But the problem with that is that FlixVision is basically loaded with malware and spyware and that sort of thing. So these boxes are a lot safer. They're not trying to get your personal information or anything like that. There's nothing on there that I can find that is malicious in that way. I do test these boxes. I do bench test these boxes. I bench test this box. And I also take a look at things like servers and things like that. So the servers that you would get linked to this box. So after you take away all of those safety protocols, so I don't know if you've ever sideloaded one of these or not, but you have to basically take away all the safety protocols, put on the side loading, and then once you do that, then you will be vulnerable to things like malware and things like that because you've disabled all of those safety protocols. But on these boxes, they don't have any of that on there anyway, and you just basically have the apps that are on there. So this box comes with my TV and my VOD. It only comes with 2 apps. Now there are other apps on there, but they don't belong to Slingbox. So those ones are what I would refer to as low tier apps, which are very similar to the FlixVision that you can put on one of these. And I don't recommend downloading those apps. I recommend just sticking with the My TV and the My VOD. Those are the ones that actually belong to Slingbox. There is another one called My Adult, but it is not one of their apps. I did check with them because it kind of looks like one of their apps, and it is not one of their apps. Okay, so let's go to the downward shot and take a look at this box and see what you get in the box. Okay, so this is the Slingbox, and this is what it looks like. It's not very big. I'm going to give you some measurements right now because it is quite small. It is 4 inches square, and it looks to be roughly almost, I'd say 7/8. That looks like 7/8 to me. 7/8 thick. Compared to the on-box, a little bit bigger. But the on-box has HDMI out. That's pretty much all it has on this one. And there's your power. And this one does have a few extra options. So it does have the Ethernet because it comes with the cable. And it does have this jack right here, which is your AV. Yeah, this is an AV input. And I'm just gonna go look on this one. Yeah, that's your audio video input. I just wanted to confirm that. On the back of the box, it does have a way to mount it if you want to wall mount it or mount it on the back of a monitor. On this side here, I'm using this for a dongle. I'm going to explain why. And it also has a reset hole and a TF card here, USB 2.0 on both of these. There is no USB 3, so I'm just going to take this out to show you. There is no USB 3, these are just regular. And on the front, it has an indicator light, which will blink as you use the remote. On this side, we don't have anything. And it does not get warm. I've been using this box for a while now. It is USB-C powered. It comes with a power brick, which is kind of nice because if you have a USB power supply, you do not need, you can extend your cord length, things like that. So if you want to get a longer cord, you can, and you can really, it has a lot of advantages over those barrel style connectors. So this is the way a lot of boxes are going now. So now that we've got that out of the way, I'm going to show you the remote. So this is the remote. Now the remote is ergonomic. It feels good in the hand. It runs on 2 AAA batteries that go in here. And it is an IR remote only. That is the only disadvantage of this remote. It is not Bluetooth. You do need to point it directly at the box so that it works. And I'm going to show you the screen of the box, but I do have to blur it out because of YouTube's guidelines. But again, if you'd like to see the unedited version, go to the link in the description below, and it will take you to my other platform, which will show you everything that I can't show you here. So I'm going to just go to the screen, but I'm going to, like I said, I have to blur it out. And we're going to cue that up, and we're going to go there. So everything is blurred out. Now, I have pre-installed, of course, my VPN, things like that, and I'm not going to get into that on YouTube because, again, guidelines. We need to make sure that everything I talk about here is 100% policy safe. And I did have to blur this out, but it kind of gives you an idea of the screen layout. It's very similar to other boxes. Now, like I said, you do have to make sure that you're pointed at the box, because if you're not, it might not respond well to that. Now, I did find a workaround, and I'm going to show you what the workaround is. So we're going to go back to me. So I got one of these. Now, I have a fancier version coming, but it's not here yet. This is a cheaper. You can pick these up for like 13 bucks. They're not expensive, but I did order a fancier one for myself because I wanted a scrolling wheel and that sort of thing. Now, as you can tell, it lights up and that's great. But what it does is it runs on 2.4G. Now, the nice thing about this is that you don't have to point it directly at the box, and you can use this in a lot of the ways. In other words, you can replace the remote with one of these and it will be more responsive, and it will, for the most part, be better than the original remote because it's not an IR remote. Now, the only thing that you'll need to do is you have to keep this one because of this, the back button. So I don't have a back button on here. I do here, but I don't think it works the same way that this one does. I've tried to find out if there's any option on here to go back, but I can't. Now, maybe on my new one, I'll be able to do that, but not on this one. So let's just go to the screen, and I will just go back to the home screen here. And there's the home screen, and yes, everything is blurred out again. I'm sorry, but that's what I got to do. Now, I'm going to show you that I can click around with this remote. Now, I'm just going to put myself on the corner here, and you will see. There we go. And now I can click around, and yes, I know I'm blurred out too, but when they blur things, I can do a masking or whatever, but you know that I'm there. But anyways, I'll take myself off anyway, because you can scroll around easy enough. You can get into the settings. It does have things like your launcher, and so if I click on this, this is your cleaner, which is very similar to a lot of the other boxes. I can't believe how similar a lot of these things are. Now I click on this one. This is like your hotkeys. So if you want to put like easily access apps, you can number them, that sort of thing. So it has apps. So you go into the App Store. It has their own App Store. You load the App Store, and they've got 2 apps. Now I know this is blurred out, but there's one, and you have to actually get 3 apps. So you need My TV, you need My Player, and My VOD. Those 3. You'll need the player to play the VOD. So I'm just going to go back to me really quickly. Oh, wait a minute. Back to me really quickly. So when I seen that, I noticed that it's not quite the same app setup as, let's say, Superbox or VCBox. And to let Slingbox know that could impact their security at some point, because they're going to know what I'm talking about. So I'm not going to compromise a company's security. When people send me products, there are things that I will disclose to the audience, that would be you, and there are things that I kind of keep to myself between me and the manufacturer if I find that there are security breaches and things like that. Things that if I shared with you, it would hurt their company, because I do know a lot about these things, and I don't want to have a company get harmed in any way just because I did a review of their product. So I am going to let them know that there are some vulnerabilities, but I'm not going to point them out to you because that would be disrespectful to them. You would not like that if I did that with you. So there is a level of trust when they hand me these products, and I start to test them, because I do test them thoroughly. I bench test them, the things that other reviewers just don't go to. The two apps do work, and they do have a lot of content, so I have to blur it back, but we're going to talk about a little bit about, you know, how many channels, things like that. So again, this is for educational and informational purposes only. Please consult with your local country's laws. So in some countries, it's okay to use these apps. In some countries, it is not. So please consult with your country's local laws, because I don't want you to get in any trouble or break the law or get a fine or anything like that. User interface. And now I'm going to get into let's see here. So I'm gonna click on my player. Oh, sorry, I'm gonna click on my TV. Oh no, I'm gonna click on. So I have to get out of here. There we go. So let's go into my VOD. So now we're going to go into the different settings. So I'm gonna take myself off the corner. And we're going to go into home. Let's go to movies. Okay, and there's the newer, so there's some recent movies on here, and they're not going to have a shortage. Now I'm gonna just play one, but I've got the volume all the way down, at least I hope I do. And I'm just gonna make sure. Oh, it wasn't down. Okay, that's good. So I've already played lots of movies on here, so. And there we go. So there is a little bit of a hesitation. And if a movie doesn't play, just click out of it and then go back to it. So this one's playing. I know it's blurred out, but this is what I gotta do to be 100% policy safe. And I'm just gonna fast forward a bit to see how snappy it is. Now, instead of a line, they use numbers. So that's the difference between this one and the other boxes, is they use timeline numbers instead. And then when you stop, it'll begin to play. There may be a bit of a pause, but there we go. So it's working. So now let's get out of here. And I'm going to go into live TV now. So now we're into my TV, and it's going to load. And I notice that the security that they have on this one is a little better. So I'm not going to get into how I know this or why, but it is. Now if I click OK, I have a whole channel list, and they actually have a program guide, which is pretty good. So one of the advantages of, and I'll just put myself in the corner here. Actually, there's no point, because it's going to be blurred out anyway. One of the advantages of this box is that they have a pretty decent program guide, and they've got a huge selection of live TV channels, and I do mean huge. So if I scroll, I think, what was it? They had, I'm just going to go to the different categories, because there is a lot of different categories. We're going to keep going. Now I've just passed over 150 there, and we're going to keep going right to the end. And I'm at 330. Now you have to remember that these are the categories. There's also channels within each category. So for instance, if I go to Pakistan and I click over there, then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the channels within just that one category. So, and if I click, so we're talking thousands, probably like 15 or 20,000 channels. And you know, I have 399 categories. That one ended with Nepal, and there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on that one. And if I click on this and I go back to USA Entertainment, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like this is all this news, 8, and then you have all your 24/7 channels. So if you like 24/7 sci-fi, for instance, they have that. And then you've got all of the shows, all the subtitles, and that list goes on and on and on. So we're talking thousands and thousands of channels here. So it is a lot. So even though there's only 2 apps, there is a lot of content on these 2 apps. So they also have a browser. The browser works pretty good. And because I have this keyboard, it allows me to type a lot easier and navigate a lot easier too. So if I click on this now, I click on that. So I have figured out how to do the back button. And then of course, these are the apps that you can get, and there's the App Store. So I know that, again, that's blurred out. And then you can add other categories here. This is where I put the VPN. These are file folders. So one thing I can show you is the bench test that I did on here. And I believe that is preloaded already. Here we go, 3D Mark. Okay, so this is unblurred, and this is the bench test that I did. So I did a wildlife test on it, and I'm going to just click on that. And the bench test on this one came up very good. It was very comparable to the super boxes that I just did. Actually, you're going to see that the numbers came up pretty much the same. I think it was 126 on the CPU test and over 420 on the GPU test. So I'm just gonna I can put myself in the corner there. So that is where we are on that. So I did do the bench test on this, and so the hardware is pretty comparable with the other guys. Now, as far as the CPU is, so while this is running, because this takes a while to do, let's just go back to me. Okay, so while that's running, and I'm just going to show you the one set of numbers because I already know what the other set of numbers is. When I do reviews of streaming boxes, I do different categories. So I do the CPU, the GPU, the hardware aspect of it, the inputs, the outputs, the remote. Like for instance, the remote on this one is just an infrared remote. And just to let you know, it's running, so it's running the test right now. And then I look at things like the software that's on the box. And then I look at things like the servers that are connected to the software that's on the box. And then from there, how everything works together, because that is what gives you the best viewing experience. Yeah. So you can have an NVIDIA Shield or a really high-end box, but if you connect it to a bad server, you're not going to get a very good movie playback. The server is what's going to cause you the problems, because it's going to be glitchy, it's going to be overloaded, and it's not going to load movies. It's not going to stream. It's just not going to stream. So it's important that all of the aspects are working. In other words, you're only going to be as good as your weakest link. And I've said that in other videos about these streaming boxes, that everything needs to work well together. So the hardware on here is plenty fine for what it is. Now, the apps that work with the hardware, the software, they're not bad. You only get 2 of them, and there are some downsides to that. So the downside is that those 2 apps can get, because there's only 2 master servers, they can get overloaded. And that's not a good thing if you have a lot of users accessing them. So companies like Superbox and VCBox, sometimes they'll have 6 apps and some backup apps. There are no backup apps on this box. However, having said that, this box is a lot cheaper than those boxes, meaning that that's the trade-off you're going to get something that doesn't cost as much money. So if you're on a budget, you're going to want to look at one of these boxes. Right on the box, right on the user screen itself, they tell you that, hey, you want a job selling these and help promoting them, you can make some money. And they tell you how much money you can make. I'm not going to get into that, but basically, they don't just offer you a box. When you buy the box, they offer you a job. So if you're looking for a job and you want to get into selling these boxes, you can. And it's not illegal to buy these boxes regardless of the country. It's only illegal if you're using those certain apps in the country. So it's like a computer. Anyone can buy a computer, but if you put illegal stuff on a computer, well, you know what's going to happen. This is no different. It can result in anywhere from a fine to possibly jail time, depending on where you live and where you are. I'm in Canada, so it's basically just a civil matter. There's fines involved if you're using third-party apps, that sort of thing. So I'm going to get to let's go back to the screen now. So this one scored 124, and on the other ones, I think there were 126, 127, and that's what I was just getting at, is that it is very comparable. If I take my face up there, it is right up there, i15 Pro, which is the exact same thing as the numbers that I got in some of the super boxes. So pretty comparable on that. So the remote does have a mouse mode, and it's in the corner, but because this is an infrared remote, it's not as responsive as if it was a Bluetooth remote. So one of the recommendations that I would give to Slingbox on their next generation of boxes is have a Bluetooth remote control. It makes the user experience a lot better and a lot easier. But the workaround is you can get one of these and a dongle, and you're good. It's going to be extremely responsive. It doesn't matter. You don't have to point it at the box or anything. So if you find that to be frustrating, it's an easy fix and a cheap fix. So would I recommend this box? Well, if you're considering getting one of these Android boxes and you're not too sure about things like third-party apps or whatever, and you just want to get your feet wet in this area, then this is a very low entry point box, meaning that you're not going to spend $550 to buy one of these boxes. I think that I've even seen one of these for around $100, which is a bargain considering you get 2 proprietary apps. And that's pretty good. You're getting thousands of live TV channels and thousands of movie channels for that. The disadvantage is you only have 2 master servers, and things may get glitchy from time to time. It might not be as responsive as one of the other companies. And the other disadvantage, of course, is the remote control. But I have noticed that overall it performs pretty good. I noticed that it doesn't get very hot. I'm just going to go to the downward shot really quickly and give you the temperature reading. And I'm just going to set this up, cue this up. So we're just going to flip this over, and I'm getting 46.6, which is pretty good. And I know it's hard for you to see, but that's the temperature I'm getting. But if you look at the screen, it is not that hot. And anything above 60 is really bad. So we're way off of that. So pretty good. The fact that you can operate this with a USB-C power brick is awesome, because let's say you wanted to have a longer power cable, you can just get a very long USB-A to USB-C cable, and then you can hook it up to this brick or another one, and you can run it that way. But I do caution you, when you run it too long, just feel that cable. If it gets too warm, then you probably went a little too long. So don't, when you're running wire, there is a formula that we use for how big the gauge of wire should be, and USB cables are all just 1 gauge. So you don't want to get one that is too long, but usually they don't sell them that way. But just in case, you know, if you're at the dollar store or whatever, you know, be careful. I would recommend not going above 6 feet or 8 feet. You'll be pretty safe with that. So if you need a little extra length, you can, but it comes with I think it's a 5-foot cable, which is plenty long, I think. So one thing I'll point out is on some of the older models of streaming boxes, they use that old barrel style with a generic adapter. If the generic adapter burns out, it's hard to find replacement adapters sometimes. You have to get those adjustable ones and fuss with it and muss with it. By going with USB-C, it is a lot simpler. If it burns out, you can get another power brick. It's not a big deal. You can even plug it into a power bar if it has one of those connections. So you can run it from that, which is great. This one definitely has a niche that it is filling. So that's it for this video. If you'd like to see more on the unedited version, again, check out the description and don't forget to follow me there as well if you want to get the notifications of new videos, because I have more streaming boxes on the way. Oh yeah, there are a lot of companies that do these boxes, and I like to give people the advantages and disadvantages of each company. So take care, be safe at work, and I will see you at the next video.